You going up? Don't lose your fingers. Oh, this stresses me out so much. Woo! And there goes the drone. Bye-bye.
Welcome back, folks. If you're new to the channel, this is SV Leehawk, a 1970 Choi Lee 36-foot Luder's sloop. Or in other words, this is our old sailboat. Jillian and I found this boat at a marina lean sale, where she'd sat alone on a mooring ball for at least a year or more. We picked the boat up cheap, and we've decided to invest some time and money to bring this old sailboat back to her sailing glory, at least a little bit at a time. And we're so happy that we're finally able to take friends out for the occasional day sail. We're still using the 50-year-old sails, kinda blows my mind. She creaks and she groans. She smells like diesel when we fire up the old engine, but she's a joy to take out. We still have a long way to go with this boat, and we have a lot to learn. Just like learning how to catch a drone off the back of a bobbing sailboat.
It's not turning off at all. God!
Today we're going to take a look at our ground tackle, which is a fancy phrase for the anchor, anchor chain, and rope that we can use to hold our sailboat in place when we're not actually tied up in a marina. When we bought the boat, we inherited what's called a CQR or plow style anchor, a bunch of old anchor chain, and a bunch of old anchor rope. This is actually the first time we've had a chance to take a look and inventory what we have.
All right, so back here in the Beaver, we're gonna actually pull all the chain out that we have today, and we're gonna take a look and see, you know, what we have. It looks pretty tired. You know, I don't know if that makes the chain unreliable, but we'll probably have to replace it. But we're gonna go ahead and pull it out and count it, see how many feet we have, and see how much scope we have, I think is the right term.
We started by setting the anchor down on the dock and then slowly pulling out all of the chain and rope.
So we got this knot right here. I have to see if I can get this knot out. Ah, that's what's happening. The rope is twisted, so it's creating a big twist in the chain. Can you go up, once you go up above and just pull the chain through. Hang on.
Everything was a bit of a rat's nest, so it took a few minutes to kind of get all of the chain and rope up on the deck of the boat, and then we started to lay it out more neatly on the dock itself. We thought it'd be a good idea to measure out part of the dock. That way we could use that as a point of reference to see how much rope and chain we actually had.
Right here in the middle, this is 40 feet.
Nice.
So now we can try to figure out what we got. Tip of my finger.
Ugh.
That hurts. Rope sliver.
This is just the beginning.
We have roughly, looks like 80 feet of chain and maybe another 300 feet of rope to go after the chain. If you look down here, I think we need to change out these shackles right here. These are the two right here. They look pretty crappy. I need to get some tools out and see if I can fix these.
Yeah. Ooh, I see the disc coming out of the...
It never fails on an old sailboat. If you have 3 screws, 2 will come out and 1 won't. If you have 2 shackles, 1 will come unthreaded really easily and the other one won't. So when all else fails, you got to get out the PB blaster and soak those rusty threads.
Ooh, that PB blaster smells like something from my childhood.
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah.
PB blaster, man.
PB blaster, rotations for the win. Shake it up, shake it up.
No.
Why are you saying no to Taylor Swift?
Yes.
Okay. Yay, we did it though. I don't know.
That hurt.
But you did it.
Woohoo.
Make sure it's tight.
See that? Okay.
Nice.
So now we just have to kind of feed the rope back into the locker, but we're gonna have to flake it nicely, because if not, then we're gonna run into the issue where when we let it out, when we need it, it's gonna knot.
Yeah.
And that's just gonna be a disaster, because someone's gonna have to go underneath to undo the knots. No one will be at the helm. That will be a disaster. So we have to flake this much wider than it was previously.
Yeah.
It's all in a big lump.
Yeah, and don't put it in circles, because that was what I learned when I took that rope class.
Yep.
Because people do that, and then it gets all twisted when you pull it
And when
out.
you say, like, you don't do it, you mean you, right? Because I'm gonna feed you the rope, or are you gonna feed me the rope?
I think I'll feed you the rope.
All right. All right, let's do it.
It's a universal you. The royal you. Hey, you going inside?
There's extreme boat yoga and moderate boat yoga and slight boat yoga. I'd say this is like slight to moderate, but you know, laying on your stomach with your head inside the anchor locker while you try to pull the anchor rope and then anchor chain into the locker and flake it in some kind of fashion. Yeah, this felt like it took forever, but we eventually got it done. Then I started to monkey around with the manual windlass on deck, and I gotta be honest, I've never used one of these before, and it felt I don't feel like I was using it correctly, but yeah, more on that later.
Having to pull it by hand until the very end. That sucks.
That was harder than I thought it was going to be. Our windlass, which is I knew it was a manual windlass. I don't know. That seems really hard to use, and having like that much rope, that means that like that's hand pulling rope. At least, you know, let's assume 150 feet worth of rope first before you get to the chain, and then pull the chain up, and then that manual windlass, like it does like 4 links maybe at a time, like, and then you have to take the bar out, put it back in, and then 4. Like, that seems tough. I'm not exactly sure like how that would actually work in practicality. Like if you're in like something thick and your anchor is set deep, like, you know, I don't know. That seems sus. So not super stoked on what that whole setup looks like today. We did it. We know what we have. We know basically how much chain we have now, about 80 feet, and about another 300 feet of rope beyond that. So we could anchor in some pretty deep water, but getting off anchor, I don't know how easy that's going to be. Yeah, we'll see.
We talked it over, and you know, there's no better way to figure out what you have than to try to use it. So we packed up the boat and we headed out to the harbor to give this anchor and ground tackle package an actual test.
Today we're going to go out and test our anchor and basically our ground tackle, which we are not very impressed with to start, but we thought we'd at least give it a try and see how it works out. We're motoring out to Cabrillo Beach, and we're going to see if we can find a nice shallow anchorage that we can drop the hook in and see what happens.
We did a few slow loops around the anchorage, and the depth was consistently about 20 feet. So, you know, we felt pretty good that the seabed itself was either sand or mud and wasn't super rocky, because if it was rocky, we would have expected to see the depth kind of fluctuate a bit more. I was immediately stumped by the windlass operation. I thought that the center gear, when I put the breaker bar in it, would release the anchor chain and just let it drop, but turns out I was wrong. I don't know. I looked all over the windlass for some kind of lever or mechanical release that would let the chain drop freely, but I couldn't find anything.
I can't get it down.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, I can't get it down.
Oh no. Project thwarted.
If you know what I missed, by all means, please let me know in the comments. I'm super curious. Eventually, I just decided to pull the chain up out of the anchor locker by hand and feed it down to the seabed. At one point, I had Jillian put the boat in reverse and slowly back away from where I dropped the anchor so that I could lay the chain out on the seabed in a long line of chain rather than just dumping it all on top of itself in a big heap. That would be really bad and a potential problem when we wanted to pull it up. I added a few feet to account for the distance from the water to the bowsprit, and we figured that if we put out about 125 feet of chain and rope, that would be a 5-to-1 scope, and that would be a pretty safe start to our first attempt at anchoring. Once I'd let out about 125 feet or so of rope, I tied it off on the cleats and we waited to see if we would drift. You know, I didn't realize it at the time, but having all this rope is actually, I guess in some ways, a good thing because the rope itself is a bit elastic. So by tying it off on the cleats of the boat, there's no sudden like hard jerks put on the bow of the boat. To my total surprise, we didn't drag at all, and the anchor held us in place just fine. Granted, the weather was really nice. We only had about 10 knots of wind. We're in a harbor, so I don't think conditions get much better than this. Yeah, success.
So far, I think we're doing okay. It's very peaceful. So we're here off of Cabrillo Beach, right outside Cabrillo Marina. Right here by the breakwater. And we've got our rope tied off here on both of our front bow cleats. And so far, everything feels pretty good. We've got maybe I don't know, maybe a 10 knot breeze today, so it's not terribly windy. So we'll hang out for a little bit and then we'll try to get this back on board. So that was our first time trying to anchor. Did that kind of make sense in your head what we were trying to do?
I mean, it was our first time anchoring this boat, but we've dropped anchor before, and I feel
And it's always the worst experience.
it's always the worst. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like,
it's a little nerve-wracking every time.
you just got to do it over and over again, right? Like, we got to do more repetitions of this, but
Do you know what's worse than dropping the anchor? Pulling it up.
yeah, hopefully there'll be no problems. We'll see. We've enjoyed a little sit. We've had some food. We flew the drone, and now we're going to attempt to get the anchor back into its home. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start the engine, and Jillian's gonna have control of that, and we're gonna stay in neutral while I see if I can, while I try to pull up as much as slack as I can. If I absolutely can't, I will tell you to go forward in little nudges, right? So that
Yeah.
as you get closer, I can pull the slack in.
Yeah.
The thing that might be difficult is that we have a tiny little opening to get the rope and chain to feed that through. So that might take me a little bit to kind of get it, shove it, get it, shove it. If I get to a place where I just can't do it, I might just stack it on the deck and then worry about that
Sure.
afterwards. I hope that's not what happens. Manual windlass. Yay. All right, wind's picking up. It's getting a little chilly and a little rollier. Not much, just a little bit. And we'll see what we can do. So first thing, let's see if we can get the engine going again.
Pulling up the anchor rope was easier than I thought it'd be. I had to pause every few pulls to let the boat drift and straighten out a bit, and also at the same time feed the rope back into the anchor locker below. Yeah, I'm super jealous of boaters who have an easy lid they can just open up and drop everything into with no fuss.
Ooh, that looks tough.
But yeah, I digress. Once I got all the rope into the boat, the chain was a little tougher to get in. I didn't want to blow out my back, so I tried using the windlass to crank on the chain to pull it in, and all of a sudden I realized what the center gear was for, and
Oh, that's how that works. That's how this works.
yeah, this makes a lot more sense, and it's a lot easier to use. Not easy, mind you, but easier. And yeah, I was able to crank that chain right back up. I reached a certain point where it felt like I was putting too much tension on the windlass, so I had Jillian ease the boat forward till we were right on top of the anchor, and then I was able to break the anchor free from the seabed and I got it back onto the anchor roller. Let me tell you, I suddenly have a keen appreciation for the merits of a powered windlass on a reinforced bow. That feels aspirational at this point. Regardless, we did it. We got the anchor back on board, and that feels good.
Great job, babe.
Ugh.
You made it look easy.
Man, that was hard.
Was it? You made it look really easy.
It was a little windy. There's a little bit of current against us, but yeah. That would suck to have to do that
Yeah.
once or twice a day
Yeah.
if we were moving anchorages and stuff. Whew. That was tough.
Well, we felt pretty good about this test, considering the age and condition of our ground tackle. We'd love to hear your recommendations on what you think we should upgrade to our ground tackle game in the comments below. Should we upgrade the anchor? Should we replace the anchor chain and keep the anchor? Should we go to all rope? Let us know what you think. Thanks for watching this week, and a special shout out to the new additions on our OE Hall of Fame. If you buy something from our merch store and email us a photo of you wearing it, we'll put it up on the Hall of Fame. Just our way of saying thanks for the support. As always, if you feel like we've earned it, leave us a like, a comment, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Fair winds, and we'll see you again in a couple of weeks.